So I'm back on a new day with a new shelf and new light. So these three are my winter blues, although not really. That one's purple. And the one at the back is also more purple smelling. At the back here, we have a very poetic piece from Mio Fusunini Violinaire, which means black violet. Very elegantly done. It's got a little bit of a mature vintage vibe, but so smooth. It's a very delicate and sort of cold leaning violet and iris scent. Beautiful and simple. It's like I say, it's poetic in a way. You can't just talk about that one in simple words. You have to experience it and say how you feel, you know. And the same with this one at the front here. This is actually more of a recent purchase. I really enjoyed how Sharif from the Top Note talks about this fragrance. It comes across as quite a soapy, watery, stemmy kind of a floral. But the more I wore this, the more I thought how beautiful, and again quite poetic it is. The beauty in the composition and the way it's very emotive, and it has like an emotional way about it. It's a watery chrysanthemum. It's a very chrysanthemum focused scent, but it has quite a stemmy feel. It's a chrysanthemum still in the vase in the water, beautiful and soft and seamless, and it's quite bright as well as being slightly melancholic at the same time. Very calming for me, this one. It smells organic. It smells very organic. Very beautiful one. I have a long-standing beauty and favourite here, which is Blue Lacy Life from Armani Privé collection. I think this is discontinued, although it comes and goes when it's availability. Don't ask me to remember the notes. There's no excuse at this point. I've had this for years. I know there's cardamom, and that's all I can remember. Oh, tea, tobacco tea. It's a fragrance that isn't about the notes because I don't think of any of them when I smell it. I just smell velvety, cold, powdery blue, opulent, powdery, velvety in texture. Blue, because there's this sort of cold glistening feel about it, despite a little warmth from cardamom. It has a sort of Play-Doh edge to it, which I love, like a spicy powdery Play-Doh. There's lots going on, but overall it's a beautiful one that I really enjoy it to wear in the winter. Just at the back here we have one from the house of Maison Violet, and I kind of think I should put it in this line based on its scent style. It's another very dreamy and very calming, thought-provoking and delicate kind of floral. It's basically a beautiful watery iris for me. There's some bright freshness at the front. Did I say what it was? Nuit Blue. It has similarities to Dior Homme, but I think it's more watery and pretty. And also there's one called Prada Infusion d'Iris. I've never smelt that one, but apparently it's very similar to that one too. A very well blended, seamless iris floral citrus. But there's something about this one that I find so calming and gentle, and just beautiful. It's a very beautiful iris fragrance. Then we have two from Ormond Jane. Starting here, we have Champaca. This is a very easy one to wear in the summer. I can't remember any of the notes apart from those rice. Obviously, Champaca, petally, orange petals, floating in bamboo water. It's got a lovely perfumey way about it, but there's something cutting through and balancing everything out. If it had a citrus, it'd be nectarine. That's what I get, like a dark orange fruity vibe, but floral. I really enjoy it. It's very unusual, very original smelling, I think, that one. And then we have the first ever Ormond Jane that I ever had, so I'm quite fond of it. This is Frangipani, so obviously Frangipani. I think there's Magnolia, and I think it's Almond Blossom that's in here. It always makes me think of something honeysuckle to me. It's delicate, and the Magnolia smells kind of creamy. It's fresh and light, easy wearing floral with a hint of almond, really pretty. And then at the front here we have my rainy day scent, my Burberry EDT. It's Sweet Pea, Freesia, Rain and Wellington boots. Simple, easy, plasticky in a pretty way, if you can imagine that. Really fond of that one. That is a lovely rainy day scent, spring rainy day scent. This next line of fragrances, including actually this one, really make me happy. I feel like there's this green aura, this twinkly, magical green aura around them. This is the newest release from Papillon Artisan Perfumes called Epona. What a magical, exquisitely beautiful and unique piece of art, olfactory art this is. Liz Morse is the perfumer. She's very much a lover of nature. Created a very special piece of olfactory love in perfume form that she has for her horse, without it being too animalic. I mean, this is based around her horse, but it doesn't smell like a dirty animal leather. This is why it's so special, magical. She has a saddle soap accord, horse skin accord. I believe there's some violet in here. I can't remember all the notes in this one. She tends to use a really good orris in her scent, so I thought there's a touch of that in here as well. So buttery and addictive. And although it's violet listed, which does bring this lovely softness, because it's buttery and it's so pretty, I see it as buttercups and horse breath. a beautiful brown horse sniffing buttercups. That's the image I get. A really special scent, and it's my new favourite actually from the house. So that is Epona. Next we have Chypre Siam from Rogue Perfumery, another really special fragrance that I discovered this year, and it's up there in my top forever, like top 10 forever. Again, it's a scent that takes you somewhere. It's very luminous, it's very bright, it's very mystical at the same time. There's an overload of oak moss. There's Kaffir lime leaves, which are really beautifully bright and luminous and memorable in the beginning. It just dries down to the most organic, almost succulent woodland path that's just living. It's got that sort of slightly soapy edge from oak moss, but it's so bright and green and gorgeous, and I just love that one. Next we have Tobacco Rose, another great fragrance from Papillon. So this is my red rose with oak moss, and I think there's beeswax in here, more of that beautiful orris fruit that Liz uses in her perfumery. It's not typically a rosy sort of fragrance. It's quite a tangy, almost hay-like. Oh, I think there's hay in this as well. There's a real mossy hayness. And although there's no tobacco in here, it gives you the illusion of like a very fresh, new tobacco that's green still because of the moss and the hay. Another one that I consider my pub scent. It's a lovely fragrance to wear in the evening in the pub. For some reason, I don't know why, it just works for me that way. So that is another beauty. And then right at the back here, I have one of my favourite bottles. It's exquisite. And it's telling the tale of A Midsummer Night's Dream from Shakespeare. And for me, this is just this absolutely luminous, glowing, golden, but also green fragrance. There's such a bright elamine here, which is that tree, lemony tree resin, maybe oak moss, I can't remember. There's certainly orris butter or iris, and it's very rich and it's very resinous and almost deep and dark, but there's so much vibrancy from other notes in here. It's a lovely mix, lovely balance. It smells very opulent, and I just love it. This special little fragrance is called Fawn. It was created by Thomas O'Brien from the channel here, Ouch 110, and this really belongs in that category because again, it's an outdoorsy, fun, playful, mystical, whimsical, all the things I love. Have quite a rustic in terms of being herbal and woody. Rustic meets luxurious kind of soapy white florals, but all very outdoorsy. It feels like a sort of a classic perfume without being weighed down by any musks or anything that doesn't feel natural. There's a sort of flurry of meadow debris I envisage when I smell this, like things are being thrown up into the air, maybe by the cheeky fawn that's running through the meadow that you can see on the front there. And while it has that artistic flair, it's very put together classically as well. So I have spoken a bit of a long time about that one, but I do really enjoy it. Next we have Green Butterfly from Byron. This is my only Byron. I love this scent. I enjoy the soft, powdery, irisy chocolate way that it has. And when I say chocolate, I wouldn't go too literal with that. It's like a dusting of, say, white chocolate. Even though I think that's dark listed. It feels soft and light like white chocolate. But there's a little coating or glimmer of aldehydes in this. I like the aldehydes in here. They're not heavy or waxy. They're just light, and they feel like it finishes the scent really nicely, but there's a slight greenness from the pear. Beautiful little fragrance. I do enjoy that one. And then behind that one we have Architects Club. So this is a beautiful vanilla. It's one of my favorites actually. It's not your typical gourmand cake scent. This is woody, refined, and slightly transparent in vanilla. I find it very calming. It's got angelica, which gives it a slight sort of green sourness, but not too much. Juniper berries in here, which gives it a slight gin feeling. They give it a bit of a glow, I suppose. Just very balanced, very delicate, very easy to wear. I really do enjoy Architects Club. So next, glowing at the front here is Amouage Sunshine Woman. This is the only yellow bottle I've got. This one is so addictive, so friggin' addictive. I feel like it's apricot marzipan with this addictive, it's not smoky, but this real balance of white tobacco. I feel like I want to bite a chunk out of the bottle because the scent is the same colour really as this bottle. Apricot marzipan, I don't know what else to say. There's osmanthus with the almond in here, just comes off as delicate but moreish apricot marzipan, very slightly sweetly smoked with white tobacco or something, whatever's doing that. It's very unique, really love that one. We have Angel, EDT. Haven't worn this one in quite some time actually. You have your praline, you have, what else have you got? I think there's apple. It's a much sweeter and lighter version of the original, which was always a bit dirty in my opinion. Patchouli didn't really work for me. And then at the back here we have a discontinued, this is the Eau Croisière. It was a 2019 flanker, and I think it's the one with the fig in, I can't remember, but it smells like a sweet tropical punch with the angel DNA, and I really do like that. It's not my usual kind of thing. I'm really not into that fruity scents in general, but because it has the angel DNA, it's not going to stand up, is it? I love it, and the bottle just speaks to my inner child. A star, rainbow star. Can you get more 80s than that? I adore that bottle. Here we have my only other Amouage. So a rose fragrance. It is, I've gone blank on all the notes. I literally can't think of one other than rose. I think it was a bit naughty, this one. What can I say? It's soft, demure, a little bit spicy. It has an opulence, it has a gothic nature. It's very formal, I think. But I like wearing this one just for me. Bougie, powdery, soft rose. I have one of my all-time favourites. In fact, I'm wearing it today. Rose Rouge, Van Cleef and Arpels. It truly is my favourite rose. Let's just top up my scent of the day. Yeah, just a sweet blast of sort of syrupy raspberry rose. So fruity, so sweet, and it has a lovely darkness just underpinning it all with chocolate and patchouli. There's other fruits in there as well, I think, but I love the balance of being both sweet and fruity, and there's a touch of darkness in there as well. Really love that one. Then we have Cafe Rose from Tom Ford. I haven't been wearing this one quite as much, but then obviously I think of it more as an autumn winter rose anyway, so perhaps I'll start putting for it again. I prefer this to the original Cafe Rose that came out. This one doesn't have as much of a sort of strong, sharp, medicinal, heady quality the last one had. I still think of it as quite a potpourri dry rose. It has got that quality, but there's something a bit sweeter in this iteration, and perhaps there's more vanilla in it, I'm not sure, but it's a good scent. It's just a little dry and a bit potpourri. And at the back we have a long discontinued unicorn of a scent, which is Dancing Roses from the Magic collection of Viktor and Rolf. This was always the standout from that collection, and that collection didn't really, it sort of came and went. They were a little bit unusual and a little bit underwhelming at the same time. And if you love a sweet rose, this was it. This was one of the most beautiful syrupy roses, and the reason why it was so special and so unique and loved, I think, is because of this cherry brandy liquor that is just so present with the rose, and there's a bit of pink pepper for just a hint of spiciness. It's very addictive. It's absolutely beautiful. I love the spiciness in here. It really just is the perfect accompaniment to what is quite a syrupy, dense cherry brandy rose. So now I'm coming into sort of more vanilla gourmand territory, although not quite. It's kind of more woody, in that direction really. I suppose more woody vanillas. So at the front here we have Serge Lutens Jeu de Peau. This year I've really been discovering more classic perfumery. I'm obviously into my Chanel's much more, and I've got now two from Serge Lutens. It's never been a house I was particularly interested in, because I assume they'd all be too formal and old school and vintage, and actually, like I say, there's so much coming out nowadays that isn't that good, you know. It's very generic. It's kind of made me want to start visiting all the old school stuff. It's been made with lovely materials and are talked about for a reason, I suppose. Jeu de Peau, you'll think of it as a bakery scent, as a very bready bakery scent, and I guess when you wear it for long enough you start to see those nuances in there. For me it's very sandalwood. It's mostly, it's a big chunk of this is really sandalwood. It's a lovely clean sandalwood with these baked nutty undertones, and what I like about it is it's not heavy. It's not really gourmand because it's not heavy and it's not literal. It's a lovely woody fragrance that has baked nutty, slightly bready nuances, so it's done in a perfumey appropriate way, which is why it's very beautiful and very finished, and I'm really enjoying that one. I bought this on a bit of a whim, if I'm honest. I've always wanted a fragrance from the House of Scents of Wood. From what I've heard of them, they're very unique and really interesting. I think they macerate a lot of their materials in certain types of wooden barrel to give that authentic aroma. The classic one from this house is Plumbing Cognac, which I've never tried. This is Praline in Maple. I can't get samples of these for love nor money, so I ended up blind buying this. I blind bought it from the Javoy in Paris because it's the only place that seemed to have it available for us in the UK. Overall, I was a bit underwhelmed. It was not as rich and authentic smelling of these materials as I thought it was going to be. A lot of ethyl mortal in this, which is the very sort of sweet candy flossy molecule. I could be wrong. It reminds me of other fragrances that do have that kind of molecule, i.e. Changing Constants, Baccarat Rouge. There's that vibe. There is a kind of rich tone to the wood, which I assume is maple. It's woody, it's sweet, there's a hint of something boozy in there. Overall quite airy. and pleasant and easy to wear. I don't dislike it. I'm happy to have it. It's not as mind-blowing as I thought. The bottle's really cool though. That is a very, very smart bottle. I have two from Maison Margiela. Lipstick On, which I got from eBay. I saw someone selling a partial, and also I got Whispers in the Library here. This is actually quite a powdery, easy, light, slightly dusty lipstick smell, but that is discontinued now, unfortunately, but I do enjoy wearing that one. And then this is my favourite from the house, Whispers in the Library. I never think of books when I think of this scent. There's a slight quality in here that makes me think of both furniture polish, but not too overpowering. It's just a hint, like a freshly polished piece of wood, let's say a library shelf, and something sweet and creamy like white chocolate, just a hint. And so it's interesting, but it's very lackluster at the same time. I'm very fond of it. It's a charming little vanilla. I just don't think of it anymore, but I'm not going to get rid of it anytime soon. I really am quite fond of these two scents, and I'll be keeping them. So that is two from the House of Margiela. So next there are two beautiful scents from the House of Renier, Kisses Rain and Black Lane. This is always my favourite one, despite it being quite challenging in the opening. This was quite a popular one from the brand, and I think you can still buy it, but it's not quite called the same thing. I think it's been changed and it's got a different title. Black Rain was what is quite a sharp, astringent leather in the opening. It has chamomile, it's rose and violet, and ambergris, but I always liked how it transitioned into something very beautiful. The violet really comes through on me, but it mingles with ambergris, and the leather does suit a storm, a real storm with skies go black and you get all the atmosphere and the pressure in the air. But I love that weather. I think it's beautiful, and the violet and the rose in here that comes through, really soft, just break it all up, and there's just so much beauty in what is quite a dramatic atmospheric scent. So Black Rain, as the name suggests, is quite a moody but beautiful fragrance, and then Kisses Rain is like the penultimate autumn fragrance. It is so good. It's so good. It's a gourmand amber, actually. It's a real scarf sniffer, this one. And it reminds me in its way of Starlight, but instead of a heavy toasted cardamom and amber, you've got a rich toasted almond and amber with tonka and something else that makes it delicious. I'm not sure. So that is those two. Love those. Then you have Benzoin Boheme from Diptyque. This is such a charming, classy gentleman of a scent. The benzoin gives you this vanillic, woody, resinous feel. There's something sort of old school in here, like it could be a clove or something, just something dark and spicy. But this could be the scent of a lobby of an opulent wizard. You're getting a whiff of magic from the library down the corridor through the creaky door. It's old, it's woody, it's really reassuring. I think if you sniff hard enough, you'll smell the pages from the spell books. Gorgeous. And then at the back here we have Wood Jasmine from BDK. Interesting qualities that I enjoy. It makes me think of wood nymphs buzzing around an orchard at the end of summer, beginning of autumn. There's something very golden, something like cider in here, golden cider. The jasmine gives it this sort of floral warmth. I've worn it about 3 times this autumn and I've really enjoyed it. So it's still good. So coming to the end of this shelf, we have some Tom Ford and a Kilian. So I have I haven't. Oh God, 4 Tom Fords in their private blend collection here. So at the front here we have Noir de Noir, and I do really enjoy the earthy, woody, rich gothic tones of this one. I love that truffle mushroom smell with the woods and the patchouli, and I get a bit of chocolate in this now. I never used to. And then we have Shanghai Lily. Now this one was actually a blind purchase. I saw someone selling it on eBay, and I just really fancied it. A velvety lily that's got a tingle of spice on it. Nothing too heady, nothing too sharp or overpowering. It's really beautiful. Next is one of my favourites, Vanilla Fatale. I absolutely adore this vanilla from Tom Ford. This is my Gandalf fragrance. For those who have never heard me say that before, it's the custard stain on Gandalf's cloak. It's a bit dirty, it's a bit antique. It's a rich old blob of vanilla style custard, and it's on something that feels very charming, like an old granddad, but I'm going with Gandalf because it makes the image seem a little bit better. Antiqued piece of custard. Rich and still charming. And then there's a bit of spice in there, I think, as well. Obviously the classic Lost Cherry. Who hasn't heard of this one? This is not my favourite scent. I don't even wear it anymore. I almost sold it this year and then I stopped myself. This is why I started watching perfume videos. This is why I started blind buying. All because of this one. So this bottle, it's very significant, sentimental. It's very striking, isn't it, still? Really, this Tom Ford Private Blend red bottle is so striking, like a beautiful chess piece. It's a classic, really, isn't it, now? So I think every cherry scent that's come out in the last few years is compared to Lost Cherry for a good reason, really. And I've got my little decant, this beautiful little cute mini decanter of Noir de Noir as well. My only Kilian here is, as you can see, oh my god, look at the dust. Don't look at the dust. And then this perfectly polished box, the coffret, that contains one very sweet and syrupy Black Phantom. I have quite a soft spot for Black Phantom, although I don't really wear it as much anymore. It's quite rich, it's quite concentrated in a sort of condensed milk and syrup and booze kind of way. Rum, there's coffee, I think there's a nutty note in here, almost sticky with denseness. It feels kind of dark and a bit naughty. It's a full profile now. It reminds me of my nephew. He absolutely adores this scent. He wears it all year round. He doesn't mind the weather. It's just a scent that he absolutely adores. The company here in the UK called Rosa Salis make a brilliant inspired dupe of this one. You can't really tell them apart. It's one of many fantastic dupes this house do, and I can't tell them apart. So he wears the Rosa Salis version because this is crazy expensive, this fragrance. It doesn't need to be. The scent is identical and it smells absolutely amazing on him. That is Black Phantom, and that is the last on the shelf. I'll just quickly run through other little bits and bobs that I've got that finish off this cabinet. I've got all my decants in here. I'm not going to go through them all. There is a lot. I've got some bottles from 460 Tuesday. This is the Clouds Illusion. This is a lovely soft lemony iris fragrance. Burnt Cedar Rainbow Dove. This was a very, very special gift. Still treasure this bottle, which is a soft spot for this scent. Then we have this special scent here. This is Hush Hush Eau de Parfum, made by the very fair hands of our Smurfy girly and also Sarah McCartney. It's violets and iris and kind of like a paper shop. It was based around sort of a 1940s paper shop with the sort of sweet cigarette sweets and all that kind of thing. It does have quite a dry feeling to it. Mine's getting sweeter. I feel like the violet actually is coming out more. It's getting more like candied violets now. I've got so many decants in here. There's a Jasmine's Marzipan from Lancome. So I keep those there, sort of smaller bottles. Ones like that I keep down here. I've got a small bottle of Roses and Chocolate. I've always had a soft spot for this one from Mancera. I've got my little bottle of Panna London's Pink Marc de Champagne Truffle, which is a really sweet treat. Boozy raspberry chocolate rose fragrance, really nice. I've got some from Rosa Salis. This is Amethyst. This is a bit like Herod from Parfums de Marly, but this one is plummy and soft and really Moorish and a bit boozy. That's a really beautiful one. And I've also got Bonfire here, which is also so delicious. A proper gooey marshmallow on the fire, because it smells like when the marshmallow is just got to the perfect stage where it goes gooey. That stage, that's this scent. Not too much smoke, which I like. It's just that perfect balance. That is Bonfire. It's a really good one from Rosa Salis. I bought this on a whim, if I'm honest. It was going really cheap on eBay. I love these bottles. I just think they're so simple, but I love them. And I like Orchid Vanille. I don't love it, so I got a partial bottle of that one. And I recently repurchased Amethyst from, this is the Nirvana Elizabeth and James collection. Now all these are now discontinued, and I regret heavily selling the Nirvana Black. I'll tell you what it was like. It was very similar to this scent, very similar. Not as dense and more simple, but the actual bottles and the actual line are really special, and they were a good lineup, and I can't get the black anymore. I just want it more from a collector's point of view. I love these old cigarette cases, and they feel so great in the hand. Like, I like things that are tactile. This is quite a sort of simple, sort of slightly smoky sandalwood scent. It's more for a collector's point of view, that one. I have my special little box here full of samples. These are all samples that I'm in rotation of testing out or wearing, or just I can't get a bottle for any reason. There's little special samples in there. Here are ones I'm selling. I've got a little bottle of Duval, which is pleasant enough, but it's just not quite for me, so I'm selling that. I've got a bottle of this, Spectacolor. It's fun. The scent is not. The scent doesn't work for me. It's an Iris Myrrh, which does sound up my street. I actually know what it smells like. The synthetic value of the caramel in Nina Ricci, which, by the way, I only keep this for the bottle. The scent was not really ever for me, but I absolutely adore this bottle, so that's why I've kept that. There's a hint of that in this, but there's just something too synthetic for me in there. I'm selling Trésor Dentelle de Roses from Lancome. The patchouli is just a bit too much for me. It's a little bit too dry and synthetic, and it stops working for me. And I'm also selling Joyce Tuberose from Guerlain. It's not quite working out for me after all, so selling those. Oh, and I'm also selling Privé. I've got Orm and Jane here. I have loved that, and I've mentioned it so many times, but to me it's coming off more sort of like a humid leather now. I don't know why it's changed to my nose. Like, these are all my backup bottles, so it's like being in a little shop, but they're kind of already mine. But these are all the perfumes that obviously I thought were great and worth backing up. For example, this is the Belle Jar of Fleur de Peau. Again, all eBay deals, all great eBay deals. This is why I've got them. I've got a backup of Chypre Cyan, which unfortunately the bottles are now different, which is a bit of a shame, never mind. Black Rain, I have an unopened bottle of that. I have a backup partial bottle of Rose Rouge. I have, and this is special actually, I'm very lucky to have this, I've got a backup bottle of Tonka Imperial, a partial bottle, but it's another bottle nonetheless. Very relieved to have that. That's a naughty one, I didn't want to show that. This is no Arden Noir, it's a big bottle that I managed to get on eBay, again, for a good price. And then this obviously is a very special one because this is, again, one of my all-time favourites. This is the Lisa Lempicka, and it's the EDT, and I did manage to get a backup bottle of this, so that's a joy. So that's tucked down the side, which is almost forgotten there. That's my backup bottle of Fawn. 2 massive boxes of samples here. Won't go through all them, they're just crammed full of samples. Almost forgot these. So I've got a little miniature of the favourite from Penhaligon's. Look at this. This is just too precious for words. This is the little Lisa Lempicka EDT. This is the little Eau de Soie, which I just have a bottle of that. Eau de Soie, little mini. I've also got a little mini of LD Lolita, which is long discontinued. The bottles were always really cool with these, and this is a little mini version of it, which is just adorable. So that's my little minis. Got my really special bottle that I won from Peter Carter, who does charity giveaways. He makes one special perfume. I think he does them twice a year, and I won C5. And you donate, and your name goes down with a chance to win the perfume that he designs. So Peter Carter is, of course, the Fragrance View here on YouTube. So C5, it's a very special bottle. I keep it hidden away. I don't want light to get to it. I don't really want to use it because it's a magical little thing of beauty, isn't it? In his original stock bottles with that exquisite lid, which is full of symbology, all sorts of symbology that are relevant to his brand and to him. Piece of treasure, it's a piece of art. The scent itself was all different types of natural materials that he had. Dark fruit, dark spices. It's an oud attar, I think, in here that was quite rare and special. It's a dark, rich, bold, fruity smell, very decadent. That is C5, and it's just my little treasure that I keep hidden away. It's a little bag of archives, so it's perfumes that I no longer wear but I won't sell. So I got this beautiful presentation box from Rosa Salas that he sent me this year, which was incredibly kind. It's a presentation box that he's just come out with this year, I think it is, and he was kind enough to send it to me. And there are 6 of his fragrances in here, and they're all various inspired by fragrances, so you can see all of that, and they're all absolutely fantastic. Such a beautiful gift box, look at that. Vita at Rosa Salas is possibly one of the nicest people in the fragrance industry. Such a passionate but such a kind person, and he makes all of his own perfume. His Phantom Sombre is identical to Black Phantom, and also Mon Cherie he makes that smells like Lost Cherry is beautiful. That's actually my niece's favourite fragrance, and it's sweet cherry and it is beautiful. Definitely worth checking out if you haven't heard of Rosa Salas. It's on Instagram. But yeah, I wanted to show off this beautiful discovery box because it was so kind to give this to me, and I treasure it, absolutely treasure it. It's always cool to see what else he's coming out with next. Oh my god, I think I've finished. Oh, I was like climbing Mount Everest, doing all that. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I didn't find it too boring. My legs have gone to sleep and I need to go and get a cuppa. So there we have the full collection at 2024, and I hope you enjoyed it. Oh, sorry Nim. Just fell backwards and nearly sat on my cat, so he's gone flying out the room. Thank you and well done for making it this far. I'm all set to smell good for the next 50 years. That's all for me, over and out.